हमने सिर्फ आंखों से तुझे नहीं देखा, तुझे देखा है जिस तरह ए वेल्डिंग उस तरह किसी और मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रोसेस को नहीं देखा। देखा था एक बार प्रोटेक्टिव ग्लास के बिना तुझे, उसके बाद कभी भी प्रोटेक्टिव ग्लास के बिना तुझे नहीं देखा। Whenever you see or perform welding, you must wear protective glass, otherwise आपकी नींद हराम हो सकती है। Seeing or performing welding without the use of protective glass can seriously injure your eyes. Welcome to this session, and in this session we are going to talk about one of the arc welding process, which is a shielded metal arc welding. In short, it is also called as a SMAW. So let us first of all see that what is the principle of the operation, or what happens into the shielded metal arc welding. So as we know that the welding is a process which is used to create the continuity between two components. It is used to join two components. So let us assume that there are two components we want to weld, or we want to join them with the help of a shielded metal arc welding process. This is component 1 and this is component 2. And let's say this is the electrode. Here in a shielded metal arc welding, we use flux coated consumable electrode. The electrode is called flux coated because it has a coating of a flux over it, and it is called consumable because during the welding process the electrode will be consumed. The electrode is going to melt and it is going to deposit itself into the weld pool. So as the electrode gets consumed, it is called as a consumable electrode. So let us say we have an electrode which is flux coated consumable electrode kept like this, and in arc welding the first step is we have to strike the arc, or we have to initiate the arc between electrode and a workpiece. So here with the help of a touch and draw method we are going to initiate the arc. In a touch and draw method we touch the workpiece with electrode and then we withdraw it. Now when we withdraw it, the gap which is present between the electrode and the workpiece will be ionized, and that ionized gap will take the electrons from the electrode to the workpiece and take a positive ions from the workpiece to the electrode. So let us say by touch and draw method we initiated the arc. Now in arc welding, the arc is going to act as a heat source. It is going to act as a source of a thermal energy. So this base metal or this workpiece to which we want to weld, it is going to absorb the heat from the arc, and once that temperature will cross the melting point temperature, they will melt and they will form a weld pool like this. Now, as we are using a consumable electrode, the electrode is also going to melt, and the droplet of a molten metal from the electrode will also become a part of a weld pool. So here you will see the droplet of molten metal which are coming from electrode, and later on they will also become part of a weld pool. It is also called as a molten metal pool. Now when the electrode gets consumed, along with that, the coating which it has a coating of a flux, so the flux coating is also going to disintegrate. Now when the flux coating disintegrate, it does two things. It is going to form the layer of a slag over the weld pool, and the second thing it is going to do is that when the flux will disintegrate, it will produce a shielding gas atmosphere or a shielding gas layer of gases like CO2 and hydrogen. Now this layer of a slag as well as the shielding gas layer of a CO2 and hydrogen will not allow the weld pool to react with the atmosphere. It will not allow the atmosphere to contaminate the weld pool. It is going to protect, it is going to shield the weld pool from the atmospheric contamination, and that's why this process is called as a shielded metal arc welding. One of the requirements that every welding process has to satisfy is to protect weld pool from the atmospheric contamination, because as we know that the reactivity of a liquid metal is much higher than the reactivity of a solid metal, and if the liquid metal will react with the oxygen, it is going to form oxides, and the liquid metal also has a tendency to dissolve gases. Now, if the dissolved gases will stay in a, a weld, if the oxides will stay in a, in a weld, then we will not have a sound quality weld. And we always look for a weld which has a good quality, which has a good strength. And if the oxides and those gases will become part of a weld, we will not get the sound quality weld. So by the by the slag, by the formation of a slag, and by the formation of the shielding gas atmosphere, we will be able to protect the weld pool from atmospheric contamination. Once the solidification of a weld pool will happen, we are going to remove the slag by the hammering operation. So once the slag is removed, we will be able to see the weld metal. So this is the operational, what I can say, a principle of a shielded metal arc welding. Now, most of the time when the SMAW is used, it is used in a manual mode, and that's why this process also has a name, manual metal arc welding or MMAW. When you will perform SMAW, you will experience that the electrode is going to stick to the workpiece, and that's why this process is also called as a stick welding. So SMAW, MMAW, or stick welding, these are the different names given to a same process. Now let us talk about the capabilities of a process. Here we will discuss the capabilities of a SMAW in terms of what are the various metals it can weld, what is the thickness up to which this process can be used to weld the base metal, and the third is what are the positions in which this process is capable of performing a welding operation. So let us talk about the metals. Almost all the commercial metals which are available to us, which we use in a day-to-day life, can be welded by SMAW. If we talk about, let's say, steel, low carbon steel, medium carbon steel, high carbon steel, low alloy steel, high alloy steel, tempered steel, tool steel, die steel, hardened steel, including stainless steel, can be welded by SMAW. All the cast irons can be welded by SMAW process. Nickel and nickel alloys like Inconel and Monel can be welded by this process. If we talk about copper and aluminum, both of them can be welded by the process, but their welding with SMAW is not popular. To weld them, we use different set of arc welding processes. But one of the alloy of a copper, which is bronze, can be welded by the SMAW process. So this is the capability of a process as far as the welding different metals and alloys is concerned. Just to add to that, none of the precious metals can be welded by the SMAW process. Now, if we talk about the capability of a process in terms of the thickness that it can handle, then we can say that this process can weld a thickness up to 3.2 mm without joint preparation. So when we perform welding, sometimes we perform welding with joint preparation, sometimes without joint preparation. Especially when the thickness is small, we usually don't prepare the joint. So performing a welding without joint preparation means, let's say these are the two components that I want to weld, so I'll just keep them side by side and just will remove oxide layer, or if there is any kind of a dust dirt which is present on it, and then I'll straight I'm going to perform the welding. So this is called as a welding without joint preparation. So this process is capable of performing a welding up to the thickness of 3.2 mm without joint preparation in single pass. Now, what is the meaning of single pass welding? A single pass welding means we complete the welding in a single run. So let's say this is a start point and this is an end point. And if we complete the welding only in a single run of an electrode from the start point to the, from the beginning till the end, then we will be able to say that this is a single pass welding. If we prepare a joint, let's say, so if we prepare a joint as in we create a V groove, we create a square groove between two components, and then if we perform the weld, then we call it as we call that we are performing a welding with joint preparation. In that case, the process is capable to weld up to 6.4 mm of thickness, but that is with joint preparation in a single pass. Sometimes what happens is that when the thickness of a material is high, it is not possible to perform or finish welding in a single pass, and at that time we have to do the multi-pass welding. So when we do the multi-pass welding, the capacity of as far as the thickness is concerned, it increases, and the process can weld anything between 6.4 mm to 200 mm, definitely with joint preparation in multi-pass welding. So whenever the multi-pass welding is performed, it is always performed with joint preparation. Now if we, let's say, talk about a capability of a process as far as to whether it can, in which position it can perform the welding, then we will see there are four positions in which we perform a welding. So if, let's say, two components are kept like this, and if we do the welding, it is called as a flat position. If two components are kept like this, and if we perform welding, it is called as a horizontal position. If two components are kept like this, and if we perform a welding, it is called as a vertical position. If two components are kept like this, and if we perform a welding, it is called as a overhead position. So these are the four positions in which we perform a welding: flat, horizontal, vertical, and overhead position. And this process, SMAW, is capable of performing welding in all the positions. Now when we are performing arc welding operation, there are two types of current which are available to us. One is alternating current, AC, and second is a direct current, DC. In AC, the polarity of an electrode and workpiece continuously changes. So as we know that the AC has a sinusoidal waveform. So let's say this is a electrode and then we have a workpiece. So let's say in a one cycle there are two half cycles. For the first cycle, let's say the electrode was negative, so the workpiece will be positive. So for the remaining half cycle, the electrode will become positive and the workpiece will become negative. So we know that in India we have a frequency of 50 hertz, which means 50 cycles in a second, and so the polarity is going to change every half cycle. So there is 100 times the polarity of a electrode and a workpiece is going to change. Now when we use DC, which means a direct current, in that case there are two possibilities of polarity which are available to us. As we know that in a direct current, the polarity does not change. In the beginning, if we set something at a negative polarity or a cathode, it is going to remain cathode for throughout the process. And similarly, if we keep something anode, it is going to remain anode throughout the process. So when we use DC, there are two possibilities of polarity which are available to us. Let's say electrode and workpiece initially, or there is no initial, and here we keep, let's say, electrode negative and workpiece positive. Then this polarity is called as a DCSP, which is called as a direct current straight polarity. Here the electrode is negative, and that's why this is also called as a direct current electrode negative, or DCEN. The other possibility in a polarity is that electrode, we keep the electrode positive and workpiece negative. If we do so, then this polarity is called as a DCRP, which is a direct current reverse polarity. And because here electrode is positive, it is also called as a DCEP, or direct current electrode positive. So there are three types of polarity which are available to us: AC, DCSP, and DCRP. Now the question is that which polarity should we use when we perform SMAW? Many aspects on the basis of which we can select the polarity, but one aspect which majorly affects the selection of a polarity is the penetration. Now let us understand first of all what is penetration. So let us assume that this is a workpiece. From the top surface of a workpiece to the depth up to which, we are able to melt the base metal during the welding process, that is called as a penetration. From the top surface of a workpiece to the depth up to which we are able to melt the base metal during the welding process is called as a penetration. So here, as I'm showing here, that this is the amount, this is the depth up to which we are able to melt the workpiece, and so this is going to be the penetration as far as this case is concerned. Now penetration has a direct relationship with the strength of the weld. Higher is the penetration, higher is going to be the strength. Now let me just show you that. Let's say there are two workpieces that we have. Here we perform their welding, and we again take two identical workpieces like them and we perform a welding here. Let's say in the first case, the penetration we get is this much, which means this much amount of a base metal has fused together. You can see that how much amount of a base metal has fused together. And here the amount of penetration we get is, let's say, this much. It means here more amount of a base metal has fused together. So the bond strength is higher in a second case and the bond strength is lesser in a first case. Here you see this is the amount of a penetration we have got, while in this case the penetration is higher than that of first case. And so we can say, and you can literally see through the figures, it does not require any kind of explanation, that the joint strength is going to be higher in a second case than the first one. So on the basis of penetration, if we have to make, let's say, a selection of a polarity, then how should we make it? Let me show you a figure, and that should explain you what should be the selection of a polarity. So let us assume that this is one workpiece and we are performing welding. Let's say here we use DCRP, here we use DCSP, and here we are using AC. So in a single workpiece we are performing welding, let us say, with the three different polarities. Then if I show the comparison of a penetration that we get, you see that in a DCRP, if we get, let's say, this much amount of penetration, then in DCSP we will get this much, and in our AC we will get a moderate amount of a penetration. So while using DCRP we will get a highest penetration, in a DCSP we will get minimum, and in AC we will get the moderate amount of penetration. So if penetration and strength is concerned, which must be the concern as far as the welding process is concerned, then I think our selection will be DCRP, which means the electrode is going to be positive, workpiece negative. Here the electrode is negative, workpiece is positive, and here we know that alternative at every half cycle the workpiece and electrode change their polarity. So in most of the consumable arc welding processes, like shielded metal arc welding, metal inert gas welding, submerged arc welding, and in a flux core arc welding, you will see that most of the time welding is performed with DCRP. When DC is used, it is performed with a DCRP, which means by keeping the electrode positive and workpiece negative, because it results into the highest penetration, which results into the high amount of strength. With DCSP, when we use, here we get the high melt off rate. High melt off rate means the rate at which the electrode is going to melt is high when the DCSP is used. Now if we talk about, let's say, what type of power source is used in a SMAW, then let us discuss about that. Let me just rub few things. So there are three types of power source which are available in arc welding. The first one is called as a CC, which means constant current power source. Second is constant voltage CV power source, and then we have a combined characteristic power source. A constant current power source means we need to set a current. Let's say 100 amperes is the current that we have set. Then throughout the welding process, it is going to supply us 100 amperes of current, irrespective of a arc length that we are going to have. Arc length means distance between the electrode and workpiece is called as a arc length. So here it is going to supply us a constant current. A voltage is going to vary here. Constant current, variable voltage. Here, as the name suggests, constant voltage, which means here the current will vary, but the voltage is going to remain the constant. And a combined characteristic power source means the power source has a capacity to act as a constant current as well as to act as a constant voltage power source. The power source which will be shown to you in a later part of this video is a combined characteristic power source. It can act as a constant current as well as a constant voltage power source. Now, as far as the SMAW process is concerned, SMAW requires constant current type of power source. All the arc welding processes, there are two majorly arc welding processes which has a basic nature. Their basic nature is a manual mode, right? So if we talk about the manual mode processes, shielded metal arc welding and tungsten inert gas welding, these two processes, because their basic nature is a manual mode, they will need a constant current power source. While if we talk about, let's say, metal inert gas welding, which is a semi-automatic in nature, again FCAW, semi-automatic in nature, and SAW, which is automatic in nature, they will have a constant voltage power source. The power source that we are going to see has capability to perform a TIG, MIG as well as the SMAW, so it has to be a combined characteristic power source. Now let us talk about the application of SMAW. So SMAW is mainly used nowadays in a construction and a maintenance industry. It is also used in a small production houses where they do not want to spend huge amount of a capital onto the welding processes, where welding is not a major application. They want to create some techs, or let's say they just want to perform a welding which does not require, let's say, highest amount of a quality or very high amount of a strength. In that case, in most of the cases, the shielded metal arc welding is a very easy option which is available to the production houses or small fabrication shops. As far as the advantages of this process is concerned, the flexibility of this process. We are able to use this process in all the four positions. This process can weld almost all the commercially available metals and alloys. So this is a flexibility which is available to us, and this is the biggest advantage of a this SMAW. Along with that, the low capital investment the process requires. So the power source which is required to perform this welding is not very costly, and as we know that SAW has a huge it requires a huge space in order to perform welding, because it has a rail along with the power source with it, so it will require larger amount of a space. A TIG and MIG will require a separate cylinders, while the shielded metal arc welding power source will only need a power source, and that too, those power sources are available in the market, and they have a cost. If you compare the cost, then their cost is much lesser than the cost of the other power sources. And nowadays, the power sources of a SMAW, of course, definitely a low current capacity power sources are available in a range of even 10 to 20,000 rupees as well. If we talk about limitations of this process, then there are two major limitations that this process has. One is a built-in brake, which means that if we are performing welding with this electrode, we will not be able to perform the welding continuously. Once the electrode gets over, because this is a consumable electrode, it will be consumed during the process. So once the electrode gets over, we have to stop, we have to change the electrode, we have to get the new electrode, we have to remove the slag, then we have to perform, start performing welding again. Once that electrode gets over, we have to repeat the process. So every time the electrode gets over, we have to get the new electrode, and that brings a built-in brake into the process. The next thing is that as you see this electrode, probably you will be able to see electrode in a later part of this video, where you will see that the complete electrode is not covered with a flux. There is some length which is not covered, and that length is called as the stub length. A stub length is kept in electrode so that we can hold the electrode in an electrode holder. So stub length is never used in a welding process, and so the electrode utilization is not 100%. So these are the two major disadvantages that the shielded metal arc welding has, and the important one is that it cannot perform welding continuously. So this is some of the theory portion which is related to the shielded metal arc welding process. Now let us look at the practical aspects of it. Let us understand the power source, and then the process, the shielded metal arc welding will be demonstrated to you. So let us go to workshop for that. So this power source is going to supply the electricity for the welding process. The name of this power source is Champ Multi 400. This power source has a capacity to supply a maximum of 400 amperes. And the Champ Multi, because this power source is capable of performing three welding processes, as we can see here. As we switch on the power source, there are three programs which are given to us. MMA, which means SMAW, MIG means metal inert gas welding, and TIG means tungsten inert gas welding. If we change the program, in order to perform different processes, we just need to change the program to MMA to MIG to TIG. Right now, because we are going to perform a SMAW, we have kept the program as a MMA. Here, with the help of these two knobs, we will be able to change its current. Usually the current used in a SMAW process is 25 amperes to 500 amperes, and the voltage which is used in the process is a 15 volt to 35 volt. So here, with the help of this knob, we will be able to change the voltage as well as the current. Understand what is open circuit voltage. So open circuit voltage is a voltage which is available when the circuit is open, which means that whenever we are not performing welding, so right now as you see we are not performing a welding process, so whatever voltage is available between the workpiece and the electrode is called as the open circuit voltage. And as we earlier saw, this power source has an open circuit voltage of a 75 volt for a MMAW process. Some other specification about this power source are given on the top of the power source, as we can see here. The open circuit voltage for the MMA process, which is SMAW, is a 75 volt. The maximum open circuit voltage which is available to us is a 75 voltage. This power source will supply the current in a range of 50 amperes to 400 amperes for the MMA, and the duty cycle is 60% at a 400 amperes, which means that we will be able to draw the 400 amperes, which is a maximum current. If we consider the welding of 10 minutes, we will be able to draw 400 ampere of current for 6 minutes, while for remaining 4 minutes we have to give a rest to the machine. And if we want to have, let's say, 100% duty cycle, which means if we want to perform continuous welding, in that case the maximum current we will be able to draw is a 310 amperes, as it is mentioned on the top of the power source. As we know that in SMAW we can use alternating current as well as the direct current. This power source is going to supply us direct current, and when we do the welding with the direct current, there are two possibilities of a polarity which are available to us. One is a DC-SP, which is direct current straight polarity, as well as the direct current reverse polarity, DC-RP. DC-SP is also called as a direct current electrode negative, because in that the electrode is kept negative and the workpiece is positive, while DC-RP is also called as a DC-EP, direct current electrode positive, because the electrode is kept positive and workpiece is kept negative in that polarity. Most of the consumable arc welding processes use DC-RP as a preferred polarity. And as we know that the SMAW is also a consumable arc welding process, it also uses the DC-RP. In DC-RP, the electrode is kept positive and the workpiece is kept negative. So the wire which comes out of the positive polarity from the power source is given to the electrode holder, and the wire which comes out of the negative polarity from the power source is given to the work table. Now, whatever is going to be the polarity of a work table, that is going to be the polarity of the workpiece. If one wants to perform a welding with a DC-SP, in that case, the wires needs to be interchanged at the power source. Let us talk about the electrode which is used in a shielded metal arc welding process. As we know that this is a consumable flux coated electrode. This is a metal rod on which the flux is coated. This portion on which the flux coating is not there, which is used to hold the electrode in an electrode holder, is called as a stub length. Now as you can see on the electrode, it is written that E6013, that is a designation of an electrode. And now let us understand what is the meaning of a E6013. Here E stands for the electrode. The first two letters in E6013, that is a 60, indicates its tensile strength in a KSI, which means if 60 is written here, the tensile strength of this electrode is a 60 KSI, that is a 60 kilo pound per square inch, and if we convert that into the megapascal, it is going to be roughly around 450 megapascal. The third number indicates the position in which the electrode can be used. We know that the welding is performed in 4 positions: flat, horizontal, vertical, and overhead position. Here number 1 is written, which means that this electrode can be used in all the positions to perform the welding. If instead of 1, if let's say 2 is written, it means that that electrode will be used in a horizontal position and a flat position. And instead of 2, let's say if a 4 is mentioned as a third number, it means that the electrode can be used only in a vertical position with a downward progression. As far as the fourth number is concerned, it indicates what type of a coating is there, and the type of coating is going to decide what type of current can be used with this electrode. Here the number 3 is written, and number 3 indicates rutile and potassium coating, and which also means that this electrode can be used with AC as well as with DC, and in DC also we will be able to use this electrode for a DC SP and a DC RP. Going to use touch and draw method of arc initiation, which means in order to establish the arc, we are going to touch the workpiece with the help of an electrode, and then we will withdraw it. Now when we will do this touch and draw, the atmosphere which is present between the electrode and the workpiece, or the gap which is present between the electrode and workpiece, will be ionized, and that ionized atmosphere is going to take the electrons from the electrode to the workpiece and the positive ions from the workpiece to the electrode. As far as the thickness capability of a shielded metal arc welding is concerned, without joint preparation, it can weld up to 3.2 mm in a single pass. With joint preparation, thickness up to 6.4 mm can be welded in a single pass. A single pass means we strike the arc here, we start the welding, and then we end at the other end, and we just perform that in a single go. That is called as a single pass. But if the thickness increases from 6.4 mm, in that case we have to perform a multi-pass welding. As far as the capability is concerned, it can weld up to it can weld the thickness up to 200 mm with a multi-pass welding. As the thickness of this plate is 8 mm, here we will have to perform a multi-pass welding. So now let us see how the welding is performed.
The droplets of liquid metal which are coming out of the weld pool, as you can see in the video, are called spatter. And spatter is considered as one type of a loss in a welding.
During the welding process, as the flux integrates, a layer of a slag is formed over the weld pool, and the slag protects the weld pool from atmospheric contamination, and it also prevents or it also reduces the rate of heat transfer.
After every pass of a welding, we have to remove the slag from the weld, and if we don't remove it and if we perform, let's say, another pass, then a defect called a slag inclusion may come into the welding, and which is not good for a sound quality weld.